Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where today we are taking a look at another button lock knife that falls more into the premium side of things. And what we have here is none other than the Remet Steed. Now, before I go any further into this review, I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in today. If you like what you see, please do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, follow along, and I will continue to bring you the content. Now, let's take a look at some overall specs on this knife right here. We have an overall length coming in at 8.11 inches, with a blade length coming in at 3.35 inches, and a blade thickness at 130 thousandths. Blade material on this guy is, as you can see right there, M390, with a drop point style blade, a flat grind, a handle length coming in at 4.76 inches, and a handle thickness at 533 thousandths. Handle material on this guy, as you can see, titanium with some carbon fiber inlays. Got some things to say about these inlays. I'm pretty impressed here. We have a button lock locking mechanism with a user of a right or left hand tip up carry. So yeah, you don't always see that on premiums, but it sure is nice to see it. Weight coming in at 5.2 ounces and a price of $198. But I have a discount code. That code will be linked in the description of this video, and that's going to save you 15% off this knife, knocking the price down to $168. So yeah, $168 for M390 titanium, carbon fiber inlay. Yeah, hard to get too upset about that price. Pretty good job there on the pricing. And now let's take a look at some size comparisons here and see how it lines up with some other well-known button lock knives. Let's start off here with one that is always one of my favorite button lock knives, the CJRB Pyrite. Of course, the Warncliffe version is probably my favorite blade shape. Like the drop point, but boy, that Warncliffe is sure nice. And a Kaiser Assassin XL. And there you have that. Actually, it's a pretty nice comparison with the XL in terms of just handle thickness and all that good stuff. A little shorter than the Steed, but still a pretty good comparison overall. And let's get a couple more in here. What do we have? Got some Civivis. Here is the Civivi Cogent, as well as... No, that's the Conspirator. This is the Cogent. My bad. You guys have to excuse me. I celebrated my freedom very hard yesterday on the 4th of July, and I'm still recovering from that. So we'll try and keep this short and sweet, and I'll try not to trip over my words too much. But give me a pass. Give me a pass if I get caught up in my words today, because it's been a long day. And let's take a look at a couple premiums here. The ProTech Malibu, which I still think is kind of the gold standard for a button lock in terms of action. Still hasn't been beat. But this guy's pretty close. This is the ProTech Mordax, which really kind of started the whole button lock movement, even before its time. And as you can see, it also measures up very well with the Steed. The Steed and Mordax are a pretty good comparison. The Steed is considerably thicker in the handle than the Malibu, than the Mordax, but that's about it. And now let's get to talking about this blade. There's some good things and there's a not good thing. First, let's talk about the good things, which is the aesthetics, because nowadays it's pretty easy to find a good-looking drop point blade, and that's definitely what we have here. Nice and simple, but still looks great. Nice swedge, nice solid jimping up top. Get some pretty good traction with that, pretty useful jimping. And then you get down to the edge, which is 17 thousandths behind the edge, so it's going to be a relatively nice and slicey knife. And then the ugly part right here, this plunge grind. Terrible plunge grind. There's really no nice way to put it. Very, very bad plunge grind. Again, that doesn't break a knife, but when you're talking anywhere in that $150 to $200 and up area, you like to see it. You like to see it all the time, but it becomes a little more expected the higher you get in price. And what that's going to cause is, by that thickness there right behind the edge, as you're getting towards the bottom of the blade, as you sharpen it, you will eventually, from the sharpening of the stone, you'll catch the side here in this little curved area. You'll start to see kind of a smile on the blade after some sharpening. So not ideal, but it is there, and I think it's important to know about. But outside of that, the rest of the blade is really pretty nice. The flipper works pretty well. Not my favorite flipper in the world, but it does work. I usually like to see a little more jimping towards the end where you're actually making the contact. Every once in a while, like, I will have kind of like a slippage of the finger, but it's still very, very functional, and it does work quite well. Yeah, could just use a slight little bit of extra jimping there on the end. But anyway, let's get to the handle, because as simple and good looking as this handle is, the blade is, this handle is anything but simple. We have all sorts of things going on with this handle. A lot of things I like, some things I really don't like. But let's start off with, first of all, the most important thing of any handle, how it feels, how it actually feels in the hand. It actually feels really good. There's no aggravating points, nothing that pulls my attention in a bad way. Feels nice and, just nice and contoured, chamfered, all the good stuff along the sides of the handles to make that feel good in hand. This area up here is different. This is, I guess I'd call it weird, because it's actually very, very grippy there. It's literally just like this jimping. It's almost like a finer jimping. But I don't feel that aggression in the hand. It doesn't chafe my index finger or do anything that's uncomfortable. So I guess it's there as kind of like just an aesthetic feature, but then also maybe something that could provide a little bit of extra grip when you're using the knife. Yeah, I don't dislike it, but I don't know how much I like it. It's very different, and I'm still getting used to it. But nothing really bad to say about it. Like I said, I feel like if it was going to be annoying and aggravate my finger, it would have done that already, because I have used this a decent amount and open up some boxes, break some cardboard down. Yeah, it's different, but I guess it does work at the end of the day. What I don't like, what I really hate, and this is all aesthetic, you guys probably know what I'm about to say, but this pivot collar here, or not collar, the pivot, I'm not a fan of these dimples. I'm just not. Some people probably think it's fine. This kind of reminds me of like the Kaiser swirly pivot. You guys know how much I love Kaiser, but I really hated that swirly pivot. And this kind of reminds me of that. So I like just a clean, simple pivot. I don't need a whole lot of stuff there. But this has it. So yeah, there's that. Let me know. What do you guys think of this pivot? Do you like seeing it, or do you prefer more of just a simple, clean pivot? The inlay work on this knife is very impressive. It's actually very impressive. Smooth transition lines. I don't know how crazy I am about the actual shape of the inlays, but boy, oh boy, they did a good job on it in terms of execution and feel. Very nice carbon fiber, no flaws. Very nice fit and finish on this knife, I gotta say. I'm pretty impressed. There's a lot going on, a lot of different things, but at the end of the day, everything was executed pretty darn well. They're nice, very nice to have that left-handed option. You righties are usually like, oh, it's kind of an eyesore down there, but lefties are like, yes, finally, another knife I can buy. Standoffs, very nice, make some good strength. Obviously, no flex in this handle. It's a very, very durable knife. And yeah, at the end of the day, it's a very different looking knife from an aesthetic standpoint, especially in the handle. But yeah, it rubbed off on me pretty well. The more I carried this and used it, broke in really well, put some ultralight KPL in there, and got the action really good. Bearings came pretty dry. Which is fine. Like, I don't, that's kind of whatever. If all I have to do is put a few drops of KPL in a knife for it to be this good and fidgety, yeah, I got no issue with that. Really nice from an action standpoint. Like I said, once I got some KPL in there, this was like, I think the driest bearings I've ever got. I think there was just nothing in there. But yeah, boy, oh boy, put some KPL in there and just brought this thing to life. Nice bigger blade that's fun to flip and fidget with. The button lock does a really good job in terms of like the height of the button and how well the plunge of the button goes into the back of the blade. So you have a nice secure lockup with no blade play, of course. And yeah, just a very, very nice knife to flip, use, fidget with, whatever you want to do with the knife. And boy, listen to that thwack. Nice, nice. It's almost like a heavier duty tink. Very, very nice. Really enjoy this knife from an action standpoint. And overall, I think it's a very solid offering. Remet is one to where, like, I can't say they've had any home runs yet. Like, I think they have a very solid lineup of offerings. Pretty competitive. It's one of those brands to where it's never going to be, I don't think Remet will ever be the first brand that comes to mind when you think of like, oh, what knife do I want to buy? But I will say all of the offerings that I've handled from them have been pretty solid. They've either been very affordable, or they've been on the premium side of things, but affordable and something like this for 168 bucks. Like I said, I have no issue with 168 bucks for this knife. A knife like this really just comes down to how you think it looks, because the action, the fit and finish, all the real important stuff that help bring the value are there. Just comes down to whether or not you like the design language of this. So I'm somewhere in the middle in terms of the design language. I like the blade. I think the handle shape and feel is great. It's a little out there, but yeah, I think there's definitely gonna be some people that like this one. And at the end of the day, it is one I would recommend. I have no reason to steer anyone away from it. So there you go. Let me know what you guys think of this one, the Remet Steed. Really hope you guys enjoyed this review. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And until the next one, I'm out.